Let's just say justice for Severance. Hello and welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel where we do miscellaneous things. I'm Zeleny. I typically cover TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things on this channel, so subscribe if that's your vibe. It's been a minute since I've recorded. I went on vacation. I've been taking a little time off from the Miscellaneous channel, just trying to live life, trying to transition between summer and fall. For TV schedules, it's a good time to take a break because there's not a lot of releases between summer and fall. There's also a bit of a life update that happened during this break, and she is over there causing trouble right now. Ven, gato. Please only speak to her in Spanish. She only knows Spanish. There you go. This is Gato. It's a silly name. Gato's actually my family's cat, my mom's cat, and my mom is going through a transitionary period right now where she's trying to move and stuff. And I, like a year and a half ago, lost my cat Lena. She is the cat that's in my profile picture right now. Rest in peace, Lena. And so I was finally ready to take on a new cat, and my mom was like, you should take Gato because she's a good cat and she would have a better life with you. So now Gato's here and we're excited to have her in the household. Everyone say, welcome Gato, or bienvenidos. But enough about me and Gato, let's get into the Emmys 2022. So I was actually very excited for the Emmys this year. I never thought I'd say that. Not never, but I'm not really an Emmys person. If you can tell from the catalog of my channel, I generally cover more trashy or reality television or teen shows, which are not typically nominated for the Emmys. I wish they were. This year I was kind of excited for the Emmys. I watched a lot of good TV this year. I've watched a lot of the big shows. There were a lot of nominees that I was rooting for. There were some great moments to the Emmys, and that's what inspired me to make this video. I was excited to just chat with y'all about the standout moments, standout winners, and I'm also kind of upset by some of the categories. I mean, we can't win them all. I will get into my frustrations in the video as well. I feel like they reward media with more masculine energy a little more. I'm someone that likes to think about the concept of feminine and masculine energies a lot, and I find it really interesting because I, as a person, lean so much more towards feminine. Like, I gravitate towards feminine energy, feminine things. I'm not trying to say masculine and feminine with relation to gender. It's something I've talked about in other videos, but I don't tie feminine and masculine to a gender. It's more of like an energy thing and a vibe, like sun and moon energy. And a big reason I like to have this YouTube channel and review the kinds of TV shows and movies I like is to acknowledge that feminine media is worth analyzing and critiquing the way I do. Obviously, I'm not the only one doing this, but I want to be part of like promoting feminine media as something to be commentated on, something worth analyzing, something that is deeper than the superficial, because sometimes we can see, you know, hair and makeup and glamour and think it's all superficial, but there could really be some deep messages underneath. This is all probably too abstract, but I'm just saying all of this because I feel like my biases always lean towards the more feminine. Again, feminine and masculine does not mean how many men are on the show, how many women are on the show. Not at all. Like, think about RuPaul's Drag Race. If you had a spectrum of masculine and feminine, RuPaul's Drag Race is on the extreme end of feminine, and a majority or a lot of the people on that show identify as men. So it's not about male or female. It's just like I gravitate towards feminine energy. And that's why when shows like Ted Lasso or Succession or Better Call Saul get a lot of praise from people, I'm just kind of like, ugh. Like, it's just not my personal preference, though I assume those shows are very good if you do prefer that type of content. My bias is gonna come out a lot in this video. If you are not into it, might as well see yourself out. So enough fucking disclaimers, who cares? Let's talk about the Emmys. Kenan Thompson was the host of the Emmys this year. He did a good job. The Emmys aired on NBC and Peacock if you were on streaming. And there were a lot of kind of self-promotion things for NBC I noticed throughout the show, which is kind of typical. At the beginning of the Emmys, they opened with a bunch of remixes of classic TV show theme songs. The first two I didn't care for, but the Law and Order SVU remix was a bop, and I was very into it. And Zed was DJing, which was wild because at first I saw like a DJ guy there, and I was like, oh, there's a DJ guy there. They're showing him. And then later they were like, that's Zed, and I was like, what the hell? He looked like just some guy, you know? So let's get into the awards. The first award was for Best Lead Actor in a Limited Series. The three big categories of the televised Emmys were limited or anthology series, comedy, and drama. Drama is usually at the very end because it's the most prestigious, which is kind of pretentious when you think about it. Michael Keaton won the Best Lead Actor in a limited series for Dope Sick. I have not seen that show. The only show I had seen in this category was Pam and Tommy. Sebastian Stan was nominated, and I don't think Pam and Tommy deserved any Emmy nominations, so I'll just leave it at that. I'm fine with Michael Keaton winning this. Next award, and this award was actually presented by the Hacks duo, which Hacks is a show I was very much rooting for this Emmys. It's one of my favorite shows I've discovered this year. Season 2 just came out this summer. I suggest you watch it. It's on HBO Max. It's a great show. Jean Smart and Hannah Einbinder are the stars, and they presented the award together. And they were kind of in character for when they presented the award, which was really funny. Like, Hannah Einbinder was behind Jean Smart being shy and making jokes about Zendaya or whatever. They presented the Best Supporting Actor in a Limited Series or Anthology. It was the guy from The White Lotus that won this, and The White Lotus really swept all of the limited series categories. Sorry, I'm trying to find his name. Murray Bartlett from The White Lotus won. And half of the category were actors from The White Lotus. It was like the guy that was on the honeymoon and the dad of like the teen of Sydney Sweeney's character. They were both nominated, but the main guy from The White Lotus got the Emmy with the mustache, Murray Bartlett. So I did not necessarily agree with how many wins White Lotus was getting this Emmys. I have seen White Lotus. It was not one of my favorite shows this year. The whole season was built up as like super suspenseful, and yet the suspense aspect never paid off at the end. It's also kind of like a lot about just rich people problems and making maybe some slight commentaries about rich people, but not enough for me to be interested. I watched the whole way through and it had interesting moments, good acting, sure, but was it one of my favorite shows this year? Absolutely not. And I love Mike White, by the way. I'm obsessed with Mike White, and we'll get to him in a sec. But I definitely think Murray Bartlett deserved the supporting actor nomination. Seth Rogen got nominated for Pam and Tommy, which again, Pam and Tommy I don't think was Emmy worthy. And Murray Bartlett was one of the highlights of The White Lotus. He did a great job. I'm surprised he wasn't in the lead actor category though, because he was, I think, the main character of that show. So maybe strategically they put him in supporting actor to help their chances or something. I'm not sure, but I would consider him a lead actor of that show. I'm going in the order that the Emmys went in, but I think I'm gonna make the executive decision to switch it and keep all of the categories together. So I'm just going to talk about all of the limited series awards right now and then move on to comedy and then drama. So let's move on to Best Supporting Actress in a Limited Series, and this also went to The White Lotus, and this was the one I was most excited for White Lotus for because it went to Jennifer Coolidge, and she was truly the biggest highlight of The White Lotus. Yes, Murray Bartlett did great, but Jennifer Coolidge was so funny. She brought a campiness to The White Lotus that at least gave it something interesting. Sorry, I'm pretty biased against that show. I found it kind of boring, but Jennifer Coolidge's parts were the parts that I was sticking around for and the reason I finished the season. Mike White actually wrote the White Lotus part inspired by Jennifer Coolidge. Like, he had her in mind first before writing the show and wrote it kind of around her, and Molly Shannon's character as well, who Molly Shannon I'm a big fan of too. So Jennifer Coolidge wins. She has an iconic speech. She's hilarious as usual. She starts getting played off and she gets mad at them for playing her off, and then they make the music even more intense for her to get off, and she just starts dancing to it. It's hilarious and it's so her, so on brand. It's such a fun breath of fresh air to, you know, award shows that can be a little boring. Obviously, this was one of the awards of the night that I'm just like, this was the right decision. Also, this category was almost entirely The White Lotus. Sydney Sweeney was in it, Natasha Rothwell, Connie Britton, Alexandra Daddario. I don't even remember who all these people are. Now seeing the nominations in hindsight, I'm like, oh, it's clear White Lotus is sweeping this whole thing. Like, all of their actors are nominated in all the categories. So now we have a lead actress in a limited series, and this is another one I was very excited about because Amanda Seyfried won for The Dropout. I did watch The Dropout as well, and I talked about it in my biopics video. I liked the show a lot. I did not expect it to be like super award show nominated, except for this category for lead actress for Amanda Seyfried. Everyone was joking on Twitter that it was this scene that got her the Emmy, where she's dancing all awkwardly as Elizabeth Holmes. She was my favorite dressed of the night as well. She was wearing like this ethereal pink sparkly dress, and her eyeshadow was pink. Ugh. And then to wrap up our limited series category, we have Best Directing for a Limited Series and Best Writing for a Limited Series. And both of those awards went to Mike White. Also, Best Limited Series went to White Lotus. So White Lotus essentially swept the limited series category, aside from the lead actor and lead actress categories, but I don't think the White Lotus was in those categories. Yeah, the White Lotus just decided we have no lead actors on our show. They're all supporting, and they got to nominate all of them. Weird strategy, but okay, whatever works. Mike White gave us a couple of speeches. I am obsessed with Mike White. I mean, School of Rock is one of my all-time favorite movies, and he wrote that and acted in it. He's Ned Schneebly. I know that entire movie by heart, and it's one of my most favorite. It has held up over the years as well. It's not one of those movies where, like, I watched it as a kid and you rewatch it as an adult and you're like, oh, I liked that movie because I was 10 years old. The movie holds up, and it has a great message and everything. So I love Mike White, but I double love him because he went on a season of Survivor. He was on season 37, David versus Goliath, one of the best, if not the best, of modern seasons of Survivor. If you want to check out a really great Survivor season, you don't have to have seen any other Survivor season. Season 37 of Survivor is just like excellent reality television, and you would not regret it if you watch it. You can find it on Paramount Plus and maybe Hulu. So anyway, Mike White competed on that season of Survivor, and he made his whole second speech, the one for writing about Survivor, and he talked about how the strategy in Survivor is all about downplaying your threat level, and he feels now with all these Emmys that he's making his threat level very high, and it's like, Mike, you're out of Survivor, stop. You don't have to be so scared anymore. I just love when famous people acknowledge that Survivor is a great show, basically. But anyway, as much as I didn't care for White Lotus very much, I'm happy for Mike White. I'm glad to have heard him give speeches, and he's just so funny, and I feel like I know him so well from watching him on Survivor. I mean, you see people at their literal core and worst of themselves, so Survivor fans, I think, understand and love Mike White in general. Before I move on to the comedy category, I want to do some of the standalone awards. So like Best Variety Sketch Show, and they gave this one to SNL. It looked like there was only 2 nominees. It was Black Lady Sketch Show and SNL. This one just felt like a super rigged award because it felt like just a promo for SNL. I'm very online and hear a lot of the pop culture buzz. I hear way more buzz about Black Lady Sketch Show and more praise from, like, you know, Hollywood writers and just people in general than I do for SNL. I think for the most part, SNL is not at its peak right now, and I think this award should have gone to Black Lady Sketch Show, but NBC was just trying to promote SNL. That was the vibe I got. And then they also have an award for Best Variety Long Form. It's kind of confusing because SNL is long, but the reason it's in the category is because it's small sketches making up a long program. For Best Variety Long Form Comedy Show, they gave it to John Oliver. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. The cool thing about this award, though, was that it was presented by the Only Murders in the Building trio, Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, and they had a fun banter. And the last general show award, Best Reality Competition Program, and this was quite An upset? Not an upset. Not an upset for the public. I mean, like, for the status quo, it was an upset. Lizzo's Watch Out for the Big Girls won over RuPaul's Drag Race, and it broke RuPaul's Drag Race 4-year Emmy streak. Honestly, I could not be happier about this outcome. I watched Lizzo's Watch Out for the Big Girls. It's a reality show on Amazon Prime. It is a stretch to call it a competition program. Like, it is like auditions, but it's not that like competitive. However, I'm so glad it won. It was an amazing show. I do think it's like the appropriate modern execution of a competition program that felt really fresh, really new. It was kind. It showcased talent. If you want to hear me talk more about it, I made a dedicated video for it. I'm really, really proud of that video. It wasn't one of my most viewed videos at all or anything, but I loved covering that show and watching it, and just go to that video if you want to hear more. But I'm really glad Lizzo won. She gave an amazing speech, obviously very inspiring. She was very moved. Her speech was definitely a highlight of the night. But something I'm also happy about with this category is Drag Race not winning. If you were to look at the content I consume, all in all, I think you would deduce that my favorite show ever is RuPaul's Drag Race. The main seasons, the all-star seasons, the international seasons, the podcasts, the videos, the Reddit, everything. However, if you're in the Drag Race fandom, you know that things have been stale the past few main seasons. I think fans of the show have gravitated towards the spin-offs for more innovation, more fresh takes and concepts. It feels like even like Drag Race UK, where RuPaul and Michelle and the same judges are present, they take more risks over there, and therefore people kind of enjoy those seasons more. I'm kind of living for Drag Race getting a little bit of a fire under their ass as they make their contestants say at the beginning of every episode. Let's just say I think this is a bit of a wake-up call for Miss Ru. If you know, you know. Now let's move on to comedy. Let me just say real quick, they did not air the best guest actor in a comedy or drama, but I'm actually really pleased with the winners when I looked them up after. Best guest actress in a comedy series was Laurie Metcalf in Hacks season 2. Oh my gosh, she was so funny in that. And then best guest actor in a comedy was Nathan Lane in Only Murders in the Building. I also think he did a good job. I liked that season 1. Only Murders was nominated for their season 1, even though season 2 just came out. So best supporting actress in a comedy series, this was probably my favorite moment of the entire Emmys, and that was when Cheryl Lee Ralph got this Emmy. It was her first Emmy ever. She's had an extremely long career, and now she is on Abbott Elementary. And I love Abbott Elementary. This is one I was rooting for hard, and I think a lot of people were, because this is the kind of show I feel like you don't see often represented in award shows, because network sitcoms are just not as highly regarded as these like dramedy, cinematic comedies like Hacks and Ted Lasso and Mrs. Maisel. Like those shows that they're borderline drama, not really comedy. So Abbott Elementary is more clear comedy. I think it appeals to the masses, and a lot of people enjoyed it this past year. I'm just so glad for Cheryl Lee Ralph. Her recognition has been long overdue. There's a lot of talk about how Quinta Brunson wrote this part for her, and like this is a good example of like elevating each other. Like Cheryl Lee Ralph elevated Quinta's material by being an amazing actress, and Quinta elevated Cheryl Lee Ralph by giving her this prominent and great role. You know what I mean? So it's a good lesson in elevating each other's careers as artists and as Black women who are so underrepresented. This was the first supporting actress Emmy won since 1987 by a Black woman, and I think it was Jackie Harry in the 80s that won it. It's been a long time since a Black woman has won Best Supporting Actress, and what better person than Cheryl Lee Ralph and Abbott Elementary to receive this award. It was the best speech, like so emotional, so inspirational, the type of speech you walk away and you're like, I can do anything. She sang at the beginning, and she's a Broadway person, so she like sang. Just gave an inspirational speech to like believe in yourself. It reminded me of like how I feel when I go to Lady Gaga concerts and she gives her inspirational speeches. It was just the best speech of the night, hands down. There are some other great speeches. I mean, here's the perfect analogy. Cheryl Lee Ralph's speech at the Emmys won Best Lead Actress at the Emmys. Jennifer Coolidge's speech won Best Supporting Actress at the Emmys. Does that make sense? We're getting meta here. Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series is Brett Goldstein, Ted Lasso. Half of the category is Ted Lasso. I wasn't rooting for anyone but Abbott Elementary in this category, Tyler James Williams. Best Lead Actress in a Comedy Series, another one I was so excited about. This one was taken by Jean Smart of Hacks. And if Hacks was going to win any award, this is the one I would give it. Like, if I was allotted one Emmy to give to Hacks, I would give it to Jean Smart for Lead Actress. Because the reason Hacks won me over was Jean Smart's acting. She says so much, just like with her eyes and expressions, in scenes where she doesn't even have to talk. She has these vulnerable scenes that you just see everything she's thinking, and it's like perfect and so nuanced. And I'm obsessed with Jean Smart and Hacks, and it's why I love Hacks and go to bat for it so much, is because of Jean Smart and her acting. Like, I want more people to experience Jean Smart's acting in Hacks. If I were given a second Emmy to hand out to Hacks, I would give it for writing. But definitely Jean Smart is my priority. And this was the only televised award Hacks got. Next category, Lead Actor in a Comedy Series, was given to Jason Sudeikis of Ted Lasso. I have seen Ted Lasso. Don't come for me. And I couldn't get past 2 episodes. But again, I think it leans very masculine. On the feminine masculine spectrum, Ted Lasso is way over here in masculine, and that just doesn't appeal to me. In this category, we had Steve Martin and Martin Short, and I would have preferred one of them got it, but I also think it would have been really awkward if one of them got it. If you don't know, like, they're a comedy duo, and a lot of their act is about, like, roasting each other. So imagine if one of them had an Emmy and one didn't for, like, the same category. Like, they were both nominated. I feel like that'd be too awkward, and that's why they didn't give it to him. Okay, next we got Writing for a Comedy Series. This is one of the most exciting wins for sure. Quinta Brunson for Abbott Elementary. I was rooting for this one hard. I would have been happy with Hacks winning, but again, I'm glad Hacks got Lead Actress and Abbott got this. Quinta was also in the Lead Actress category and lost to Jean Smart. So also the Hacks writers already have an Emmy in this category for season 1. Abbott Elementary won for writing, and it was so great. Some people are trying to make it a thing that Will Arnett dragged Jimmy Kimmel to present, and Jimmy Kimmel stayed on the floor the whole duration of Quinta's speech. I do think it was rude. I think Jimmy Kimmel should have got the fuck out of there. But I think people are making too big a fuss and not letting just Quinta enjoy her moment. I think there's a lot of people celebrating Quinta too. But it's just like, who cares about the Jimmy Kimmel thing? Like, you're adding to the rudeness of him by, like, focusing on him so much for this moment. That's what I'm trying to say. Not that it was rude. It was annoying. And I hated the bit. Here I am also talking about it, though. But I have to talk about it because y'all are talking about it on Twitter. Who cares about Jimmy Kimmel? Quinta Brunson won for Best Writing. And I already talked about Abbott Elementary. Love that show. It's coming back in, like, a week, which I'm thrilled about, with a proper, like, 25 episode season, which I have missed so much from TV. I am so done with the 8 episode seasons. We are all ready and excited, and we're gonna be tuning in. Quinta Brunson deserved this. She's had, like, such a huge year. Deserved. And next for Best Directing, we had Ted Lasso, MJ Delaney. The directing usually is for a singular episode, so it's kind of weird because, like, for example, Only Murders in the Building is on here twice for 2 different episodes. I would have preferred Hacks got it, and then as a second choice, Only Murders. But alas, Ted Lasso got it. And then Best Comedy Series, if you add up all the categories, who has the most wins? Ted Lasso, so Best Comedy Series, Ted Lasso. I really think Abbott Elementary should have gotten this. I think this would have been such a beautiful moment for everyone on stage. Like, I was fine with Ted Lasso sweeping for their season 1. Like, I've heard that, you know, it's good, whatever. I couldn't get into it, but for a season 2 over Abbott Elementary, which revived network sitcoms single-handedly, I just think the impact of Abbott Elementary is much more grand than, like, a random season 2 of a show about a corny man or whatever, nice man, whatever he is. I didn't find him that nice, by the way. I was excited to start Ted Lasso because I was like, oh, it's a gentle guy who's so nice. And what's it called? Wholesome. That's the word I'm thinking. Wholesome. And then I watch it, he's just like a guy. I'm like, have some standards. Anyway, Ted Lasso fans have They left. I told y'all to leave. I told y'all. Let's move on to drama. Fuck, I'm making this a long video, aren't I? Okay. So, Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Series. This went to Julia Garner for Ozark. This one I was upset about. Okay, the dramas were starting to get upset already. Severance got like no Emmys, and I'm really upset about it because Severance is... I am not exaggerating when I say this. I think Severance is the best show I've ever seen. I don't take this lightly. I know this sounds like just me saying whatever, but like I talk a lot about my favorite shows, right, on this channel. It's like The Comeback and Never Have I Ever. I talk about these shows all the time, but those are my favorite shows, like for my personal bias. They're not shows I recommend to just anybody, and Severance is objectively, I believe, the best show I have ever seen. And what I mean by that is that there is no one I wouldn't recommend that show to. I can recommend it to my mom and she will love it. I can recommend it to my friends, boyfriend. It's just the kind of show that anyone would be fascinated by. It is a sci-fi thriller, dystopian world kind of show, but I think what makes it really accessible, not being on Apple TV Plus, because that's not accessible, but it's really suspenseful, fascinating as a thriller, but at the same time it doesn't have graphic violence and sex scenes. It's literally like an amazing show without relying on sex or gore at all, and like that for me is unheard of. I do recommend, if you're someone that doesn't like getting a lot of streaming services, just get Apple TV for like a week, get a free trial, and just watch Severance during that week. It's an 8-episode season, and you can finish it in a week easy, trust me. I cannot recommend Severance enough. If the Emmys is not going to recommend it, I will. It's also just such relevant themes about the workplace, and just with all of the news we've been seeing, at least in the US, I mean, I think it's global, about workers' rights and more unions forming and things. I do think Severance is just the perfect kind of show to explore those themes. Conspiracy theory time. Conspiracy theory break. I kind of feel like large institutions like NBC, the Emmys, the powers that be, the man, if you will, they don't want to promote a show like Severance because it's kind of dangerous for the masses. That's a big conspiracy. I'm just like going off vibes, but I'm just like, I do feel like rich people prefer to award safe shows, relatable shows to them about rich people like Succession and even Hacks and White Lotus. It's also sus to me that like, I feel like Apple TV bought so many awards for Ted Lasso, there was no room in the budget for Severance. It's almost ironic to watch Severance on Apple specifically too, because the corporation that they work at in Severance, which is a very dystopian, like corporate-y place, feels a lot like Apple in certain ways. It's kind of ironic that Apple is showing such a critique of its kind of corporation. In a conspiracy world, the big institutions and the powers that be don't want to promote Severance that much. However, you can poke some holes in my conspiracy theory by saying, but Zeleny, Squid Game won a bunch of awards, and that's about debt and the economy and poor people. I don't know, maybe rich people don't mind seeing poor people kill each other for entertainment, but we draw the line at making unions. Sorry, I got really out there, but I'm just salty Severance didn't win at least some awards. I think even the people that are big fans of Succession, which is the one that sort of swept this category, people that have seen Severance and Succession, I think would agree that Severance deserves some of the awards. I'm not saying take away everything from Succession. I haven't seen Succession myself. I'm not that interested in just old rich white guys arguing about who's going to take over their company or whatever. But anyway, so Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Series went to Julia Garner for Ozark. I'm not that mad at who won this one because I've heard Ozark is really good. I haven't seen it. But Patricia Arquette should have won for Severance. Like, her performance, she was the villain in Severance, and oh my gosh, she is terrifying if you watch it. If you know, you know. So Best Supporting Actor in a Drama Series, this went to Matthew McFadden, Succession. Half of the category was Succession. Best Lead Actress in a Drama Series, this went to Zendaya for Euphoria, which I was excited about. I don't watch Euphoria like I've said, but I've seen all the clips. Y'all have made sure I've seen all the clips online. And it seems deserved for that one episode, especially where Rue relapsed and had this like breakdown. I liked her speech, and she mentioned kind of the sensitive nature of her character, and that she thanks the people that have shared stories with her, because she does get a lot of people like sharing their stories with drug addiction or a loved one that has suffered from drug addiction. So obviously great speech. Zendaya's a class act, triple threat, and I'm glad that she won. I was actually not rooting for anyone else in this category. I know Yellow Jackets has had a lot of buzz. I'm glad the morning show didn't win. I saw some of that show and it just felt like a soap opera with A-list actors. Okay, and then lead actor in a drama series. This went to Lee Jung-jae for Squid Game. That was a really fun surprise. I mean, I didn't expect, usually American media is so biased to the US that they don't give foreign shows a chance, but I like how Korean entertainment is being more recognized in American media. I think it's about time. It's like an entertainment powerhouse over there. And I did watch Squid Game, as violent as it was. I had to close my eyes for half of it. Okay, and then best writing for a drama series, that was Succession. I think this is one that could have gone to Severance for sure, just because writing is a category where you can award like innovative story, and Severance's story is very unique. While we've had a million Successions, you know what I mean? It's a realistic drama. But Severance, if you've seen it, I think you would agree, it's kind of a one-of-a-kind story. And that's so hard to find these days in the reboot era where everything's a remix and a reboot. Even music is all reboots, it feels like. Best directing actually went to Hwang Dong-hyuk for Squid Game. Another fun surprise. I'm glad to see like multiple recognition for Squid Game. I personally did not find it to be as like amazing, especially the end of Squid Game. I think a lot of people that have seen it might agree with me. Like the build-up was really good of Squid Game, but then the ending wasn't great. But I think for these categories, they might be by an episode, so they might be going by a singular episode, which kind of like lets shows that maybe didn't have the best full arc still shine. Ben Stiller is actually the director of Severance, and I just think the directing was so good. And Severance was also snubbed for cinematography. I do want to mention that. That's not a televised award, but they did not nominate the cinematographer of Severance, who, if you've seen the show, it has a very distinct visual voice, tone, whatever, and very interesting camera work and like angles, and just they play a lot with visuals on that show. It's extremely cohesive. Ben Stiller tweeted about it, that he was mad that they were snubbed for cinematography, like for a nomination. This was back when those were announced. And she's a female cinematographer too, so it would have been a great chance for the Emmys to recognize a woman excelling in her field, doing an amazing job. The cinematography field is one of the ones with the worst like ratios for like women and men in the business. There's very few female cinematographers out there. And then finally, best drama series went to Succession. Surprise, surprise. As you can tell, I don't agree. I mean, out of this category, I've seen Severance, Squid Game, and Stranger Things. All the ones that start with S, except Succession. Well, Succession, I have seen the first 5 minutes, and I was so bored I turned it off. And there was like a guy peeing on the floor, and I was like, that's disgusting. This is not up my alley. Also in this category was like Better Call Saul, Euphoria, Ozark, and Yellow Jackets. I really thought Better Call Saul was gonna sweep this year because it was its final season. When I was like rooting for Severance in my heart, I was like, I gotta watch out for Succession, and we gotta watch out for Better Call Saul. Those are the ones standing in our way for Severance. And in actuality, it was just Succession. Oh well, it is what it is, and I hope I did my part. I give my miscellaneous Emmy to Severance for being the best show I have ever seen. That I think that is a big accomplishment. I watch a lot of TV. Those are my thoughts on the Emmys. I would love to hear what you thought. Who was snubbed? Who were you rooting for in these categories? Sorry in advance to Ted Lasso fans and Succession fans a little bit. I'm still happy for the wins we did get. The Abbott Elementary wins were super impactful, and Lizzo winning. So a lot of things to celebrate still, despite my saltiness on some categories. It was a great Emmys. I'm excited. Is this a sign of maturity that like I know the TV at the Emmys? Like, what is going on? I've never been in this position before. That's all I have for this video. I tried to make it short and failed, so it's long as usual. I'm excited to come back. This is my comeback. I forgot how to outro my videos. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. I put out new videos once or twice a week, depending on content releases about TV, pop culture, internet trends, or other miscellaneous things. And you can follow me at Miscellaneous on Instagram or Twitter to find out about new videos, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!